Before we begin this story, tell us what time is it where you are and which country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments below. We love seeing how far our stories travel. Let's go. You've heard of Dahmer, Gacy, and Bundy. Their names are synonymous with terror. Their stories dissected in documentaries and crime series. But what about the ones who truly slipped through history? The monsters hidden in plain sight, whose proximity to normal life makes their crimes even more chilling. This episode delves into a nightmare scenario, the true story of a family who believed they had raised the perfect son, only to discover he was a wanted killer. In a quiet suburban neighborhood, nestled among manicured lawns and friendly faces, the Millers appeared to be the epitome of an idyllic American family. Mark and Karen, the parents, were respected members of their community, living a life of quiet routine. Their world revolved around their only child, Ethan Miller. At 26 years old, Ethan seemed to embody every parent's dream. He was a polite, soft-spoken young man, his demeanor calm and unassuming. After graduating from college, he had transitioned seamlessly into the professional world, working remotely as a software developer. This arrangement allowed him to maintain a low profile, operating quietly from the comfort of his parents' basement, where he resided. Ethan rarely drew attention to himself. He was a bit introverted, preferring his own company or quiet pursuits. But to his parents, this was simply part of his gentle nature. They saw him as a sweet, loyal son, dependable and kind. He embodied the very opposite of a troubled youth. He never drank alcohol, he never partied late into the night, and he certainly never caused any problems or sparked concern. He moved through life with an almost imperceptible presence, a seemingly harmless shadow in the background of their harmonious family unit. His life was a picture of stability, predictability, and quiet normalcy, a testament to what his parents believed was their successful upbringing. Then, a ripple of unease began to spread through the tranquility of their town. News reports, whispered conversations among neighbors, and anxious local broadcasts began to speak of a terrifying new threat. A serial killer had emerged, striking fear into the heart of their suburban peace. The unknown assailant had been quickly dubbed the Night Prowler. This ominous title reflected the killer's disturbing modus operandi. Authorities revealed that the killer exclusively targeted victims in their own homes, invading the one place where safety and security should be absolute. The attacks occurred late at night, under the cloak of darkness, adding to the chilling vulnerability felt by residents. Each crime left behind a horrifying signature, a grim calling card designed to terrify and taunt. At every scene, the Night Prowler left a playing card with a bloodstain prominently displayed. This macabre token, a silent declaration of the killer's presence and power, became the chilling symbol of their reign of terror. The town, once defined by its quiet suburban charm, now lived under a shadow, haunted by the specter of an unseen predator who violated the sanctity of homes and left behind a single, blood-marked card as a grim testament to their horrific deeds. The fear was pervasive, yet no one, least of all the Miller family, could have imagined how intimately this terror would soon touch their lives. The shadow of the Night Prowler loomed larger with each passing day, dominating local news and casual conversations. Yet, within the Miller household, a strange form of normalcy persisted, an unspoken agreement to navigate the fear in their own ways. Ethan, true to his reserved nature, had always seemed detached from the unsettling reports, his usual indifference a quiet comfort to his parents. But that quiet comfort was about to shatter irrevocably. One evening, the mundane ritual of family dinner became the unexpected crucible of their impending nightmare. Ethan's father, Mark, brought up the latest Night Prowler case, casually mentioning the grim details of the most recent attack. He expected the usual response from his son, a slight nod, a non-committal murmur, perhaps a quick change of subject. But this time something was different. The air in the dining room thickened with an unspoken tension. Ethan, usually so composed, grew visibly tense. His movements became stiff, unnatural. His hands, resting on the table, began to tremble imperceptibly, a tremor that spoke of an inner turmoil far removed from casual indifference. Without a word, without an explanation, He abruptly pushed back his chair and left the table, retreating into the silent depths of the basement. Mark and Karen exchanged a brief, puzzled glance, attributing his unusual reaction to perhaps a rare moment of discomfort with the grim topic, unaware of the terrifying truth lurking just beneath the surface. That same night, as the house settled into its usual quiet, Ethan's mother, Karen, decided to undertake a routine task that would inadvertently unravel their lives. She went downstairs to the basement, intending to clean and tidy her son's living space, a familiar act of maternal care. As she moved about the room, her gaze fell upon something that struck her as particularly odd. A small, locked metal box. It was carefully tucked away, almost hidden, beneath Ethan's bed. This discovery immediately piqued her curiosity. Ethan was a private person, but a locked box felt different, more secretive. A faint sense of unease, a premonition she couldn't quite articulate, began to stir within her. After a moment of hesitation, her instincts, a mother's intuition, took over. Curiosity, entwined with a growing sense of apprehension, finally got the better of her. With a determined resolve, she located a spare key or perhaps simply picked the lock, and what she found inside would irrevocably shatter their world, tearing apart the carefully constructed illusion of their perfect family. The contents of that innocuous-looking metal box were not what any parent could ever anticipate. Inside, meticulously organized, were newspaper clippings of every single night Prowler murder. Each headline, each article, recounted a horrific incident that had gripped their town in fear. Beside these chilling press reports, Karen discovered photographs of the victims, images that had been plastered across news channels and wanted posters, now chillingly collected and cataloged in her son's private stash. But the most horrifying find was the killer's signature itself, a blood-stained ace of spades, its dark crimson smear a horrifying confirmation of the box's grim purpose. The collection deepened with every turning page. Karen found a scrapbook of handwritten notes, filled not with the musings of a young software developer, but with detailed planning for each attack. These were not random jottings. They were meticulously documented strategies. Alongside the plans were chilling descriptions of the murders, penned in what could only be her son's hand. It was more than a collection of memorabilia. It was a twisted diary, a meticulously kept record of escalating violence and cold, calculated depravity. Each entry, each collected item, pointed to one unbearable conclusion. Their quiet, unassuming son, Ethan, was the monster who had terrorized their community. The weight of this revelation was staggering, pulling the ground out from under her and signaling the end of life as they knew it. The discovery of the locked metal box, with its horrifying contents, brought Karen to the brink of collapse. Her hands trembled, not with fear for herself, but with a profound, soul-shattering realization about her son. She immediately sought out her husband. With a quiet, desperate urgency, Karen showed the box to Mark. His initial reaction was one of stunned disbelief, a desperate attempt to find a logical explanation, any explanation, that could deny the grotesque reality laid out before them. As he processed the newspaper clippings, the victim photographs, the blood-stained ace of spades, and most horrifyingly, Ethan's meticulously handwritten diary of death, Mark's face drained of color. The silence that followed was deafening, a vacuum where their perfect life had once been. They sat together for what felt like an eternity, the chilling evidence spread out before them on the kitchen table, illuminated by the harsh glow of the overhead light. The clock ticked relentlessly, each second amplifying the weight of their discovery. Hours passed in agonizing silence, broken only by the quiet sounds of their tormented thoughts. A single, agonizing question dominated their minds. What were they to do? They were parents, bound by an unconditional love for their child, but now confronted with the undeniable truth that their child was a monster. They debated, in hushed, desperate tones, the two impossible choices before them. Should they go to the police, expose their son to the full force of the law, and shatter their family forever? Or should they confront Ethan themselves, hoping for an explanation, a moment of sanity, a way to somehow rectify the unimaginable? The dilemma was a cruel torment, tearing at the very fabric of their morality and their love. As the pre-dawn hours crept into the house, signaling 3 a.m., the Millers arrived at a harrowing decision. The weight of their secret, the terror of the night prowler still at large, and the undeniable evidence of Ethan's guilt compelled them forward. They knew they could no longer simply exist with this knowledge. With a profound sense of dread, they quietly made their way to the basement, their footsteps heavy with the burden of what they were about to do. They found Ethan in his room, seemingly asleep. As they gently woke him, their faces pale and strained, the locked box held tightly in Karen's hand. Ethan seemed to understand immediately. He did not react with surprise or fear or even anger. When confronted with the irrefutable evidence of his double life, Ethan didn't deny it. There was no frantic explanation, no desperate plea of innocence. Instead, his response was delivered with a terrifying, flat calm, a quiet acceptance that chilled his parents to their core. He simply stated with an unnerving lack of emotion, "I didn't think you'd ever find out." His words were not a confession of remorse, but a revelation of his cunning, a matter-of-fact acknowledgement that his secret had merely been exposed, not regretted. His parents, their hearts pounding with a desperate mix of horror and disbelief, demanded answers. Why? What possible reason could he have for such unspeakable acts? Ethan offered what he called his reasons, attempting to articulate a twisted internal logic. He spoke of rage, a simmering, internal fury directed at unseen grievances. He mentioned a profound need for control, a desire to exert absolute power over others. He even claimed to hear a voice in his head, a sinister whisper guiding his actions. But as he spoke, his explanations were disjointed, nonsensical, devoid of any coherence that his parents could grasp. He spoke of profound impulses, but none of it made any rational sense. Throughout this chilling revelation, Ethan's demeanor remained eerily unchanged. He showed no emotion, no fear, no sadness, no regret, no hint of the son they thought they knew. There was only a quiet, almost unsettling acceptance of his exposed reality. Karen and Mark were utterly horrified, their world shattered into irreparable fragments. Despite the monstrous truth staring them in the face, the parental instinct, however twisted by the circumstances, remained. They desperately pleaded with him to turn himself in, to seek help, to atone for the unspeakable pain he had caused. They offered him a path, however impossible, towards some semblance of justice. But Ethan, with that same unnerving calm, refused. His quiet conviction was absolute. "They'll never catch me," he stated, his voice flat and steady. Then, with a chilling clarity that left his parents utterly devastated, he added the ultimate challenge, the final, agonizing choice. "Unless you turn me in yourselves." The weight of this decision, to betray their own child, to deliver him to the authorities, became an unbearable burden. They were trapped in a horrifying dilemma, forced to choose between their love for their son and their moral duty to the victims he had so cruelly taken. The early morning hours, usually a time of quiet peace in the Miller household, became a crucible of unimaginable anguish. Karen and Mark sat in the living room, the weight of Ethan's challenge, his chilling defiance, pressing down on them. "They'll never catch me," he had said, "unless you turn me in yourselves." This was not just a statement. It was a demand, forcing them into a choice no parent should ever face. Their son, or the countless potential victims he might claim if allowed to continue his spree. The night prowler, a figure of terror to the town, was their own flesh and blood. The silence in the room was thick with unspoken grief, remorse, and the dawning horror of their responsibility. Their love for Ethan, however unconditional, could not outweigh the moral imperative to protect innocent lives. They knew, with a certainty that tore at their souls, what they had to do. As the sun began to cast its first, pale light over the suburban street, Karen, her hands trembling, picked up the phone. Each digit she pressed felt like a betrayal, a severing of an unbreakable bond. With tears streaming down her face, tears of profound sorrow and desperate courage, Karen called 911. Her voice, choked with emotion, reported her own son, Ethan Miller, as the Night Prowler. It was a call that would forever redefine their family, marking the moment they chose justice over kinship, sacrificing their own peace for the safety of a community now haunted by a monster they had unwittingly nurtured. The information she provided, however agonizing, was precise. The hidden box, its contents, and Ethan's chilling confession. The police, acting swiftly on the unprecedented tip, mobilized with urgent precision. Within minutes, the quiet suburban street was transformed. Sirens wailed, lights flashed, and patrol cars converged on the seemingly ordinary Miller home. A team of officers, armed with a search warrant, raided the house. Their entry shattered the illusion of domestic tranquility, exposing the dark secret within. Their primary target was the basement, Ethan's sanctuary, which was now seen as the heart of a killer's lair. What they uncovered confirmed every horrifying detail Karen had shared, and then some. In a hidden crawlspace previously overlooked, investigators found even more damning evidence. Tucked away were items of clothing with trace amounts of blood, matching the victim profiles. A burner phone, its contents encrypted, hinted at clandestine communications and a double life far more complex than a simple reclusive existence. Most chillingly, they discovered another journal, distinct from the scrapbook of past crimes, this one detailing future targets. Unwitting individuals whose names were chillingly recorded, their impending doom meticulously planned. The breadth of this hidden arsenal of evidence left seasoned detectives stunned by the killer's meticulousness and the terrifying scope of his intent. The confrontation with Ethan was brief and devoid of drama. He was found in his basement room, seemingly resigned to his fate. When the officers entered, he offered no resistance, no struggle, no attempt to flee. His previous defiance had vanished, replaced by an eerie calm. Ethan was arrested without resistance, allowing the handcuffs to be placed on his wrists as if he were merely an observer in his own apprehension. The scene was devoid of the desperate struggle one might expect from a cornered killer. Instead, there was an unsettling stillness about him. His mugshot, taken shortly after his arrest, would become a haunting image shared across every news channel in the nation. It revealed a cold, vacant stare, eyes devoid of warmth, remorse, or any recognizable human emotion. This image was a stark, horrifying contrast to the polite, soft-spoken son his parents, and indeed the entire community, had believed they knew. The disconnect between the public persona and the chilling reality was absolute, a testament to his profound ability to conceal his true nature. The subsequent trial shocked the entire nation. The suburban horror story played out on a grand stage, captivating and repulsing audiences in equal measure. Details from Ethan's journals, the methods of his killings, and the chilling discovery of his calling cards were presented as evidence, painting a picture of calculated sadism. The most heart-wrenching testimony came from the Millers themselves. With their hearts visibly broken, still grappling with the unimaginable truth, Karen and Mark testified against their own son. Their words, delivered through tears and profound grief, detailed the transformation of their perfect child into a remorseless killer, and the agonizing decision they had made to turn him in. Their testimony was not just legal evidence. It was a public act of parental agony and civic responsibility, revealing a family utterly shattered by the monster they had unknowingly raised. The weight of the evidence, coupled with Ethan's own chillingly detached demeanor throughout the proceedings, left no doubt in the minds of the jury. Ethan Miller was convicted of 7 counts of first-degree murder, his heinous crimes unequivocally proven. The verdict brought a semblance of justice for the victims and their families, but no true peace. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole, ensuring that the Night Prowler would never again walk free. His reign of terror definitively ended within the cold walls of a maximum security institution. The once quiet software developer, the perfect son, was now merely an inmate, his life forever marked by the indelible stain of mass murder. The trial of Ethan Miller captivated and horrified the entire nation. It was a stark, brutal reminder that evil does not always emerge from the shadows of remote, abandoned places, nor is it always wielded by strangers. Sometimes it resides in the seemingly quiet corners of suburbia, nurtured in plain sight. Every piece of evidence presented, the meticulous journals, the chilling photographs, the blood-stained calling cards, painted a portrait of a calculated predator who had carefully constructed a facade of normalcy. The prosecution meticulously laid out Ethan's methodical planning, his remorseless execution of 7 innocent lives, and the deliberate cruelty of his signature. His courtroom demeanor, as unsettling as his mugshot, remained cold and detached, showing no flicker of emotion, no hint of remorse for the devastation he had wrought. This unyielding stoicism only intensified the public's fascination and revulsion. For Karen and Mark Miller, their role in the trial was an excruciating public crucifixion. Their presence on the witness stand, testifying against their own flesh and blood, was a testament to an unimaginable agony. With their hearts visibly broken and their lives irrevocably shattered, they recounted the story of their perfect son and the horrifying discovery that turned their world upside down. Their testimony was not just about providing legal evidence. It was a raw, unfiltered expression of profound betrayal, confusion, and overwhelming grief. They spoke of the quiet boy they thought they knew, the polite software developer, and contrasted him with the chilling monster revealed by the locked box. Their willingness to come forward, to deliver their son to justice, spoke to a moral courage forged in the deepest fires of parental despair, a sacrifice of their own emotional well-being for the safety of a terrified community. The overwhelming weight of the evidence, coupled with Ethan's chilling lack of defense and his unreadable demeanor, left the jury with little doubt. Ethan Miller was swiftly convicted of 7 counts of first-degree murder. The verdict, though expected, still sent a shudder through the courtroom, confirming the chilling reality of what had transpired. He was immediately sentenced to life in prison without parole, ensuring that the night prowler would never again walk free. His reign of terror, born from the quiet depths of a suburban basement, was definitively concluded, replaced by the sterile confines of a maximum security institution. The once unassuming son was now merely an inmate, his life forever marked by the indelible stain of mass murder, confined to a future of isolation and reckoning with the darkness he embodied. To this day, the nightmare of discovery and the burden of their decision continues to haunt Karen and Mark Miller. They live in quiet isolation, their suburban home, once a sanctuary, now a constant reminder of the horror that unfolded beneath their very feet. Tormented by guilt and questions they will never have answers to, they grapple daily with the profound paradox of their experience. How could the child they raised, the boy they loved and nurtured, become capable of such unspeakable evil? Was there a sign they missed? A turning point they failed to recognize? These are the unanswerable questions that plague their waking hours and invade their restless nights. Their lives are a perpetual aftermath, a testament to the fact that some wounds never truly heal, and some memories remain forever etched in the soul. As Mark once stated in a rare, agonizing interview, encapsulating their harrowing journey, "We raised a killer, but we also stopped one." This single statement encapsulates the tragic duality of their existence. The profound failure they feel, interwoven with the courageous act of preventing further innocent lives from being extinguished by their own son. The story of Ethan Miller, alongside the grim histories of Joseph Roy Matheny and Patrick Kearney, underscores a critical, often uncomfortable truth about serial murderers. These cases challenge our preconceived notions, shattering the convenient stereotypes that often populate true crime narratives. Not all serial killers are disheveled loners, lurking in the shadows, easily identifiable by their outward eccentricities. Nor are they all criminal masterminds, operating with a theatrical flair. As we've seen, evil wears many faces, and its most unsettling manifestations can be found in the most unexpected places. Joseph Roy Matheny was overtly evil, almost cartoonishly grotesque. His brutality was visceral, his acts of cannibalism and the selling of human flesh so profoundly repulsive they pushed the boundaries of human comprehension. He was a force of raw, unbridled malice, his crimes a direct assault on the senses and the very concept of human dignity. His story makes it abundantly clear that depravity can be brazen, loud, and utterly without shame. Conversely, Patrick Kearney was cold, quiet, and utterly invisible, the kind of man you wouldn't look at twice, a seemingly ordinary engineer living a normal life. His evil was insidious, methodical, and chillingly efficient, operating without fanfare or obvious signs of disturbance. He highlights the terrifying reality that the deepest darkness can reside within the most unassuming individuals, hidden behind a calm demeanor and a respectable profession. His case forces us to confront the fact that malevolence can camouflage itself perfectly within the mundane fabric of society, a silent predator moving through our shared spaces. And Ethan Miller, the perfect son in the suburban basement, adds another layer to this terrifying spectrum. He was the seemingly harmless introvert, the polite young man, whose very normalcy was his most dangerous disguise. His story, deeply personal and tragically intimate, reveals how a monster can be nurtured within the very heart of a loving family, his dark secrets hidden behind locked doors and a carefully constructed facade of filial devotion. These three men, in their distinct methods and demeanors, collectively reveal that evil wears not just many faces, but also many disguises. They illustrate that society often looks away when the victims are marginalized, or when the perpetrator defies easy classification. The anonymity of Matheny's victims, the transient nature of Kearney's, and the hidden suburban horror of Miller's highlight how easily those on the fringes can fall prey to the unseen. This reality underscores the critical importance of these unvarnished true crime stories. They are not merely sensational tales. They are cautionary accounts, forcing us to examine the vulnerabilities within our communities and the chilling capacity for darkness that can reside within seemingly ordinary individuals. We, as a society, often find comfort in fearing the monsters of stories, the villains of fiction whose evil is safely contained within a narrative. But the grim, unsettling truth revealed by these men is far more profound. The real monsters may not exist in distant legends or dramatized documentaries. The real monsters serve you food from a roadside stand, or drive past you on the freeway with a silent, unsettling smile, or quietly reside in the basement of a neighboring home. They are the insidious truth behind the comforting lies we tell ourselves about safety and normalcy. They prove that the most profound evil often resides in the most unexpected places, hiding in plain sight, waiting for the moment to strike. This is precisely why remembering these disturbing but essential stories is not just about recounting grim history. It is an active, vital exercise in remaining vigilant. It is about understanding that true evil can manifest in countless forms, some of which defy our neat classifications and comforting narratives. It is a stark imperative to trust your instincts, to pay attention to the subtle anomalies, and to never turn away from the vulnerability of others. By keeping these narratives alive, by giving voice to those who were silenced, we actively participate in ensuring that such history does not repeat itself unnoticed, that the shadows of evil, even when cast by seemingly ordinary people, are never truly allowed to consume the light of remembrance. The vigilance of memory is our greatest defense against the monsters who walk among us.
Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more.